Hello everyone, I'm going to be running through a team fight I noticed the other day. Na'Vi versus Empire in the DAC in the lower bracket, game 3. It's a pretty good showcase of how things can change in a game quite drastically just from one team fight. You're in the lead, as Empire are in this game, trying to secure Roshan, going for the tier 2 tower, which is a massive objective when you're trying to do this up against the Dire, so they can't TP in and try and stop you. They're up against a pretty defensive lineup from Na'Vi, with the Abaddon Troll very good at going into team fights and not dying, which we're seeing a lot recently. Teams picking up heroes that just don't die.
Oh yeah, a lot. I mean, that even started early on with the Ogre Magi craze that we had going on. Everybody was like, wow, Ogre's super strong, and one of the best things about him is he just doesn't die in the laning phase, right? High amount of armor, high HP.
And I was seeing so much like Bristleback and Troll and stuff, like Mischance and Block, yeah. But Na'Vi, what Empire don't know is that Na'Vi have just got 2 BKBs. Clinkz managed to get one about 45 seconds ago. He made a run through the jungle and tried to attack Void up on the top lane, and I did check through the player perspectives. No one actually saw that BKB purchased, so he's got a fresh BKB coming into this team fight, and Dendi, we'll see here, actually gets his BKB right now, and this is just vital timing. Empire don't know this, and this is a fight they kind of have to take. They're going up here, they want to secure Roshan, take this tier 2, and they've got all their ultimates ready. They're all very high level. They've got the advantage, I think it's about 5,000 gold, 7,000 gold, and their experience is 7,500, so they definitely have the lead overall in this game. And we'll see here Na'Vi's positioning. They start off quite defensively, but the key is Dendi and Vamscore here. They are so deep in this line, and you've got Havost on the front lines with Goblax sitting slightly behind him, so there's always the shield and the heal for Havost to survive through things. The Clinkz, however, he goes really aggressively here, and I think this is a slight mistake from Always Wanna Fly. We're going to pause it a second to just look at Empire's positioning. So they know there's a Magnus on the enemy team, so they know they want to be slightly spread. They've got the Faceless Void up in this corner here, ready to jump in and get the Chronosphere onto whatever target they choose. Skywrath, pretty good positioning. He's low HP from a bit of harassment, so he wants to be sitting back so he can actually cast his spells after Chrono's used. Silent is quite tanky, and he's always got the E-Blade ready to go, cast on himself if he does get in trouble up against these physical damage dealers like Clinkz. But Always Wanna Fly, I feel that he overstepped his bounds because he feels Resolution is there ready to save him if anything goes wrong. They don't know the BKBs are there, they've got no sentries down quite yet, and Funnick is looping in from the back. So Always Wanna Fly, I feel, kind of wants to be sitting back where the Skywrath is, somewhere in this range here.
Yeah, he's definitely hugging Resolution, just way too close. This swap isn't going to be useful defensively, and an offensive swap
and
at
now
this
we
point
see
isn't an option.
Resolution and Silent both back off at exactly the same time, and Always Wanna Fly gets caught here. He stuns Goblack, which I feel is a bit of a waste because they're not going to play aggressively into that, and Funnick just opens up the fire. He takes down Always Wanna Fly before he can actually use any of his spells, and this unfortunately coincides with the Faceless Void. I wish there was a hotkey for pause. With the Faceless Void going in with the Chrono. If we just take it back 10 seconds actually. So we're going to watch this again. Funnick comes in from the side, finds Always Wanna Fly on the left-hand side after he plays far too aggressively into Goblack. So Goblack sort of draws the attention in and says, look, I'm a target, hit me. And that's where Funnick takes the advantage. Yoki sees the Troll. That's their main target. They want to take down the Troll. So he gets the Chronosphere, unfortunately just misses Dendi. And in this split second here, actually, Dendi is visible, but only for about a second.
Right, Yoki can't react fast enough, right?
Well, it's not just that, but if... let's just pause it for a second. Even if someone had the superhuman reactions to click on Dendi, they're not going to be able to react mentally fast enough to actually realize, okay, he's there, he has BKB, can we cast spells on him? There is no chance in that 0.75 or 1 second time frame where he goes here into vision range and then back here into fog. So he's then still hiding his BKB. Something that Empire have got no idea is happening. Also worth noting is that Empire are going into this fight almost completely blind. They don't have any vision up here, and against a Magnus it's pretty dangerous, but it's one of those situations where it's a fight they want to take and they feel they're so far ahead in terms of golden experience and levels, and the fact that they've got these massive teamfight ultimates like Gyro's Cooldown and Tide Ravage, which we're about to see here. Unfortunately for Resolution, blinks in and only gets Goblack. Goblack managed to shield himself, but Dendi's reactions here are absolutely superb. I want to take it back just a little bit and go to Dendi's player perspective, because I watched this a couple of times and I was wondering, what is Dendi doing? So there's the chrono from Yoki. Take it back again. No.
Yeah, if they could have a rewind by 5 seconds, or if you change the timer, right? The time. I wish like if you slowed it down and you skip back, it would only go back like 1 second or something. If you're only going at a quarter-second speed or something like that.
So
that
slow
would
this
be
right down.
Very nice.
So this is what Dendy's looking at.
This is what Dendy's looking at right now. So he just dodges the chronosphere. You can see that quick reactions there. He sees the chrono happening, so he does actually flick his mouse and go further to the left, just in case it was about to hit him. But now we see the cooldown coming, and he's still in fog here, and he's looking for this opening here. So he catches these guys, he clicks on Gyrocopter to see what items he has. Clicks on Gyro, does he have BKB? No, he doesn't. I can skewer him. Gets the BKB off as the Ravage is going, then gets the skewer on 3. And this is the kind of play that really really sets the boys from the men. Being able to blink in, RP, click on a hero. What items does he have? Does he have BKB? No. Okay. Ravage is happening. Go back to my hero. Click BKB. I'm immune. Then skewer people back into the rest of your teammates. It's just that, 0.3 second reaction time. I'm going to do this, without even thinking. The muscle memory there is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I love the fact, like another thing that Dendy does really well, like he dodged that chrono, but you have that like half a second time where he's kind of like waiting out a good opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, like a lot of lesser players, would actually be in a different position than he is. He's still out of fog. You pointed that out, which is really important versus a gyrocopter, right? Because if the gyrocopter pops his flat cannon when he's shooting, whoever's farther up front, and if Dendy's in range, like if he's in vision at that point, that's going to be gyrocopter flat cannon shots that are going to be heading towards him. And if he gets hit right before he decides to blink, like that's one of those epic fail moments where you end up RPing absolutely nothing because you didn't realize your blink was disabled right as you tried to go in.
And actually, one of the main things I wanted to point out here was the positioning of Na'Vi. Because if we see here, initially they're quite defensive. They don't want to rush into things. They know there's a Faceless Void and a Tidehander against them. So they know that this team fight capability of Empire is pretty huge. But this line here from Na'Vi is almost perfect. Like in sports like rugby and football, you see a defensive line and they are dead straight.
Right.
And this is sort of halfway between defensive and aggressive. They've got Goblak in the middle to literally draw attention into him so that people start focusing him or the Troll. The Troll is right next to that tier 2 tower, which is perfect because then that draws the Void naturally to him. And we saw 3 of Empire's ultimates used in this area here, where there is no one from Na'Vi apart from that Troll.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the positioning rights right now, there's no possibility of more than a 2-man chrono.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, even as Dendy and Rubik start coming forward, it would have to be a completely completely blind chrono. Even that, when he tries it right here, when Yoki tries to run in and get that chronosphere, he positions it a little bit farther up to make sure that he can try and intercept some of the heroes that are coming in. Like, obviously, there's probably some heroes coming in, but he can't even, catch them because they're still too spread out that he ends up only getting a Troll.
But then you can also see the power of that sort of slanted line pushing into Empire, is that now Funnick is in such a dominant position that Tide, Gyro, and Skyath are both all the way back. They've got no actual route to get in here onto the Troll fast enough. They do, so that means they have to use all their ultimates. They can't get in there and use Rocket Barrage and just hit him until he dies. They have to actually cast from range with their ultis, and that still leaves Goblak standing there using all his spells, getting his ult off, and drawing all of that firepower into him.
And the BKB pickup from the Clinks ensures that he's not going to be punished for his very aggressive positioning. That's one of those things that, especially a lot of teams who can't react quickly to those kind of changes, they'll turn and look to go on the Clinks, but be like, oh, he's BKB'd, and even just a second's worth of time of going towards the Clinks and okay, punish him, but then it's oh, we can't actually do anything about him. That's a second loss of time where you could be positioning better to go, move past the Clinks and move towards that Magnus or try and go on the Troll or something like that.
This line moving up pretty much as one, concaving around Empire, forces them into a position where they can't play too aggressively, but they can't play too defensively, because they've already given up Venge, and they need to win this team fight, so it's sort of an all-in. They have to go for this. And that's why Yoki goes here, and they cast all of their ultimates onto that Troll just to find one kill and try and turn things into their advantage. But it doesn't end up going that way. What else was there? Oh yeah, Dendy, of course, coming in with a big RP.
It's a nice little steal from the Rubik of the Chronosphere, but I mean, that's pretty standard for Rubik's.
It's mainly the BKB timings, keeping them hidden, utilizing fog so well. And earlier on, we saw a lot of sentry wards. I think about a minute before this fight actually happens, a lot of sentry wards around this area from Na'Vi, just dewarding this area, because they know how important a team fight around that tier 2 is going to be. And this team fight actually gave a pretty massive gold swing. It put Na'Vi level with Empire when they had that 7.5k gold lead and 5,000 experience lead, with the help of Roshan. One of the funny things I saw when I was watching this replay back, when they go into Rosh, the Troll gets the last hit on the Roshan, but he bought back, so he got no extra gold. They missed out on the actual Roshan bounty. So they got
things to think about, I guess.
They got 200 gold each.
Just to ask a question at the end of that team fight as well, was throwing the chrono really the wisest thing in the world to do? Because it looked like Na'Vi was incapable of chasing down the Faceless Void. Could they have actually killed Faceless Void at the end of that fight?
It's probably just the assumption that the Faceless Void is already out and it guarantees the kill on the Tide Hunter.
Yeah.
And it's not like a big ultimate that you really have to worry about. Like, most likely Rubik's either going to trade off that for some other ability.
Ravage.
Chronosphere oftentimes isn't the greatest ability to steal, even though you think about it as a big AoE, namely because, you know, you can't catch the Void.
Yeah, so there are a couple of questions that I had at the end of that fight, sort of thinking about what could players have done better or differently to make the outcome change.
Right.
Whether Venge stands over to the right and then is able to actually swap someone out, or is in a more defensive position rather than being, you know, since this area was changed, there are so many routes, especially for an invis hero like Klinks, just to run in. This sentry ward was placed slightly too late, but, you know, if the Venge was over here, who knows what could have happened. Once the Venge dies, do you still commit? Or do you actually just back out?
Right.
That was another big question.
Can you back out?
Yeah, that's the thing. With the Magnus there's always the possibility that he gets a 4-man RP after the Venge dies. So there's all these little things. And then Resolution. Do you actually need to Ravage? Do you hold it? Do you wait?
Yeah.
What in that position, what can Resolution do differently? Because these two fresh BKBs are such tide turners in fights like this, where Empire pushing forward, they want the tier 2 tower, they want Roshan, they want some kind of map dominance to make them feel more in control over their golden experience lead. And then the 5 ults, or the 3 ults used on Troll right at the beginning, was that worth it?
Yeah, definitely not.
But it all comes down to small things, like Dendi's positioning was beautiful, but then the defensive and aggressive switching of Na'Vi, so they have Goblak drawing attention into him, Funnick on the front lines, getting out that damage, but Havos just standing there like, okay, use your ultimates on me, I don't really care, because we're going to throw our ultimates all back at you.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, did how many of the heroes had buyback before that from Na'Vi? Was it just the Troll, or did they bank on? Because like Troll is the one person who kind of needs to have a buyback in that situation, because the other two have BKBs, right? For R, it should be.
Yes.
So before that, yeah, he was the only one with buyback, because they just bought the BKBs on Magnus and Klinks, but because they have BKBs, it's not necessary for them to have buyback as long as they're fast enough on their timing. Right? If they get the BKBs off, they're probably going to survive through the fight, because it's primarily magic damage that's coming from Empire right now.
Oh yeah, also Silence E-Blade, he had no target. Because you can't really target the Abaddon, because he's gonna get his ultimate off.
Yep.
The 2 BKBs, you can't target the Klinks, that would have been like a perfect guy to go for right there, but BKB again. So he has no one to actually shoot that E-Blade on apart from himself, after he's basically already dead.
Right.
But yeah, positioning from Empire was good to begin with. I think a few minor tweaks there would have allowed them to take that fight quite comfortably. But it was just the small things from Na'Vi, hiding things in fog. The item timing was perfect from them, but also posturing and actual creating a line which Empire couldn't penetrate. Because once they break that line and get past Goblak and into the Magnus and the Rubik clip of Anscore, there's nothing they can do, because they want to react to what Empire are doing, rather than sit there and take the brunt of that attack.
Nice. Nice. I enjoyed the segment, man. It's a good breakdown.
Thanks.
All right.
Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. At Durgadota, if you want to be able to have any suggestions for, I mean, this is something that we may break up into like YouTube videos later on. This is just a kind of fun way to be able to throw it up on stream. We're not like ultra prepared for this. Obviously, we did our notes beforehand, but kind of doing it all live. You know, obviously there's going to be some mistakes, but it's just kind of like, just to kind of gauge your guys' interest. Do you like this sort of thing? Is it actually interesting enough? Would you support it enough for us to do it in the future and actually spend the time doing things like this? Just let us know.
I think getting used to like camera controls as well in replays if we use more funky
yeah,
stuff.
oh yeah, definitely. Having hotkeys for like
'Cause-
pause and that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
because when I was watching it myself, I went through every single player's perspective, looking at the BKBs. But
Mhm.
if you guys would actually want to watch that broken down live on stream, something we could look into.
Well, let us know. Give us your feedback. You can tell us now in chat. You can also tweet at either Durka Dota, Dota Capitalist, or Join Dota, or W1 Dota, or Zombie.
Zombie.
We have a lot of
Zombie,
different
zombie,
options. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back. Short break as we all try and earn some real money with some adverts here in MLG. And we'll be back in just a couple of moments.